It's D-U-E-U tell. I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah. D-U-E-U.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and today will be all about the Cheeseheads. That's the Green Bay Packers as we start to preview the upcoming 2021 NFL season. We'll take a look at some training camp quick hits, some reasons for optimism, and causes for concern, in addition to our offensive and defensive positional breakdowns. But first, let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the Packers season as we go into our 4-minute offense. The story that has dominated NFL media all damn spring and summer has been whether or not Aaron Rodgers will return to Green Bay or not. Truth be told, and this is just my personal opinion, I think he'll show up, always intended to show up, and we'll look back at the thousands of hours spent talking about it and laugh. With that being said, I'll spend a few minutes speaking on it here. Whether it's Rodgers or Love, the Packers would be in good shape. They prepared for this inevitable situation by drafting Jordan Love last year. This is very similar to the Brett Favre situation when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, and at some point, the future will become the present, and the past is never fully ready for it to happen. So again, I think he'll show up and play, but if not, I'm fine with that too. I'm just tired of the storyline. In other Packer news, Green Bay will be bringing in a new defensive coordinator in Joe Barry, replacing Mike Pettin after what was a questionable NFC Championship game. Now, Barry comes over from the Los Angeles Rams, where he coached the linebackers and was their assistant head coach. He's been a defensive coordinator before, from 2007 to 2008 in Detroit, and from 2015 to 2016 up in Washington. His defenses during those two stops weren't very good, to be honest, so it'll be interesting to see how he has learned from those stops and what he can do to enhance a defense that was actually ranked 9th in the league last season. Green Bay lost in an ugly way in the NFC Championship game to the Buccaneers, one in which they chose to kick the field goal instead of going for the touchdown. That's the type of loss that could linger and become a problem in the subsequent season, or it could be a situation where they quickly move on from it and use it as a reminder to stay aggressive in the current season. The Packers have been more inclined to do the latter anyway with Rodgers at the helm, which is why what happened last January was so egregious. This is more on Matt LaFleur than anything, and how he moves forward could ultimately determine whether or not they'll ever get to that point again. What I like about the Packers so far under general manager Brian Gutekunst is that he understands how important it is to invest in the offensive line. In the 2020 draft, the Packers spent 3 picks up front, and this past April, another 3 selections, with one being Josh Myers out of Ohio State, who was my number 1 center prospect in the draft class. He's expected to replace Corey Linsley, who left via free agency, and in Gutekunst's second draft back in 2019, he took Elton Jenkins out of Mississippi State in the second round, who has become one of the best and most versatile offensive linemen in the league. As long as this remains the foundation amongst how they are built, the Packers will be good for quite some time. Aaron Rodgers took home his 3rd MVP award last season after throwing 48 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions, completing 70% of his passes. Now, none of Rodgers' career numbers ever make sense to me, but what he did last year was just even more absurd. He threw 526 passes at an impressive 8.2 yards an attempt, which was his highest since 2014. He also led the league in passer rating with 121.5 and a QBR with 84.4. So, needless to say, he's still capable of playing at a high level. However, even if they do mutually part ways, Jordan Love has talent and has the benefit of fully digesting the system for a full year, and will get the luxury of QB1 reps during the spring, as well as playing extensively in the preseason. Green Bay is in good shape at the position, both now and for the future. If anything, Aaron Rodgers actually did Jordan Love a solid by not showing up this spring, giving the second-year pro the opportunity to get all those critical and vital physical reps instead of just the mental ones if he was there. Aaron Jones is coming off of an 1,100-yard season where he averaged 5.5 yards a carry. It's his second consecutive 1,000-yard campaign, and with the fluid running style that he has, it won't be the last. He and second-year back A.J. Dillon make a very strong duo. Now, gone is Jamal Williams, but with the way Dillon played last year, it made Williams a bit more expendable in his backfield. I would expect to see the rotation be more of what we saw before, with Dillon being asked to do a little bit more in the passing game. Rookie Colin Hill out of Mississippi State gives him another back who's good on both ends of offense and one who factors into the mix as the RB3. So this is a very strong group from top to bottom. Davante Adams is one of the best wideouts in football. His 18 receiving touchdowns and 98 yards a game average led the league in both categories, earning his first All-Pro honor. And what makes this even more impressive is that he missed 2 games last season. It's been an ongoing search for a consistent number 2 option to run sidecar him. And while they have guys like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Equanimous St. Brown, and Allen Lazard, who have all flashed at times but haven't really found that level of consistency within their games to be considered dependable options, the team hopes that rookie Amari Rodgers out of Clemson can be that guy. He's slated for slot duties and figures to be utilized how they did Randall Cobb back in the day. But if he can be as consistent as Cobb was, then he was well worth the pick. Green Bay gets Devin Funchess back into the fold as he was a COVID-19 opt-out last season. If he can be the consistent number 2, it'll help Rodgers slot into a more natural number 3 slot role and slowly come along as a rookie. They're much more stable at tight end with Robert Tonyan coming off an 11 touchdown season. He's become a legitimate threat for Rodgers at the position. Veteran Mercedes Lewis is still a productive asset on the team, mainly in the run game, and it's a make or break year in my opinion for third-year player Jay Sternberger, who will miss the first 2 games of the year due to suspension. He really has to show up this season, as he and Tonyan could potentially give them a potent 1-2 combo in the passing game. Now, H-back Josiah DeGuara figures to be a factor in the run game as he's now healthy, while also expanding his opportunities as a receiver as well. The Packers would have loved to keep Corey Linsley, but they weren't sweating it because they've drafted really well up front. Josh Byers out of Ohio State, to me, is the plug-and-play replacement at center, which should allow Elton Jenkins to continue to dominate at guard. He was an All-Pro last season and figures to be a mainstay on those All-Pro teams. Getting tackle David Bakhtiari back from an ACL tear will be a big boost on the edges, but it's still unclear when that return will be. So we could even see Jenkins play some left tackle with Lucas Patrick and John Runyon handling both guard spots. But keep an eye on talented rookies Royce Newman out of Ole Miss, who can play either guard or tackle, and Cole Van Lanen out of Wisconsin, who can play either tackle spot. Yosa Neiman and Simon Stepaniak out of Indiana, who returns from injury, along with the aforementioned rookies, I believe will provide good depth. The Packers' defensive line is solid, with Kenny Clark being the anchor on this unit. He's one of the best at the position in the NFL, and getting more productive and consistent around him will be the key. Kingsley Keke is expected to be that guy after a solid second season in Green Bay with 4 sacks. Now, Dean Lowry and Tyler Lancaster will battle it out for the other spot, and both will see time. But I would also keep an eye out for Tadaro Slayton, the rookie 5th-round pick out of Florida. He's got really good ball get-off and has very active hands and could have a play at nose, which then would allow Clark to be moved around a bit. So I'm excited to see him compete during the preseason. On the edges at linebacker, the Packers have both talent and depth with Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, and Rashawn Gary. Those 3 combined for 21.5 sacks and 24 TFLs. On the inside is where there are some questions, but also some competition. The Packers hope that they have an answer in free agent signee Devondre Campbell, who has really good ability as a coverage backer, one of the more underrated defenders in the NFL. He could be in line to start on the inside, and next to him is going to be an interesting watch as Kamal Martin, Oren Burks, and Chris Barnes will battle it out. I would also keep an eye on rookie Isaiah McDuffie out of Boston College to be in the mix as well, as he has really good instincts and the lateral speed and quickness that you look for on the inside. I like what the Packers have in the secondary, as they are really good on the back end. Jaire Alexander and Darnell Savage are the young stars back there. Adrian Amos is a really good pro at safety, giving them 3 cornerstone players. Elsewhere, there are options and upside depending on how you want to look at it. Kevin King picked the worst possible time to have his worst game of the season, and hopefully he can have that short memory that we talked about earlier in the show and just move on. Or we'll see first-round pick Eric Stokes out of Georgia log a lot of minutes as a rookie. Stokes has top-tier athleticism and shows a wide array of competency in various techniques at the position. We could see him start right out of the gate as well. Fellow rookie Shamar Jean-Charles out of App State was an underrated pick and could end up inside as a slot corner, although he has the length and ability in off coverage to hold his own on the outside. Now, their arrivals puts a lot of pressure on veteran Shannon Sullivan, Kadar Holman, and also Josh Jackson. Second-year safety Henry Black saw valuable minutes as an undrafted rookie free agent and looks to provide really good depth at the position. One of the major reasons for optimism for Green Bay is the fact that they have good overall talent. We talk about this on both sides of the ball. Enough talent to where any quarterback should be able to step in there and play well. They have strong point of attack play on both sides of the line of scrimmage. So when you're built strong up front on offense and defense, it always gives you a chance to be good. And we talked about it just recently, the strong secondary stars. I'm talking about guys that are legitimate playmakers in Darnell Savage and Jair Alexander. This team gives you a lot of reasons for optimism each and every season. The only cause for concern, in my opinion, would be if Jordan Love has those growing pains that we saw Aaron Rodgers have in his first year of starting as a full-time starter. If that happens, yeah, it could derail what should be a special season again in Green Bay, but we'll see if that happens, if that's the case, because like I said earlier, I expect Rodgers to show up and play. Now let's take a look at some of our training camp quick hits, and we'll start with camp surprises on both sides of the ball. Josiah DeGuara will remind folks how good of a prospect he was coming out of Cincinnati. Yes, he's going to be a very good blocker in the run game, but I think his value will show itself as a receiver, just giving them more strength at the position. And keep an eye on Christian Uphoff, the safety from Illinois State, who had a really good week of work at the Senior Bowl. When you go back and watch him play at Illinois State, this guy can drop in coverage. He has ball skills. He can rush the passer. He's good in the alley. He's going to find a way to be on the field this year, I believe, as a rookie. Speaking of rookies, Josh Myers, I think, will be a plug-and-play starter and have a huge impact along this offensive line. They will not miss a beat with him in the lineup. And Isaiah McDuffie will surprise them and make an impact as a rookie, as an inside linebacker. This guy has the speed, instincts, and versatility to be a factor right there as a rookie. The biggest X factor for Green Bay offensively is the quarterback situation. If it works itself out like I think it will, then all will be forgotten, all will be fine, and they'll be one of the best teams in the NFC. On defense, biggest X factor would be Devondre Campbell. They brought him in quietly as a free agent, and he's going to start, I believe, on the inside, giving them exactly what they've been looking for at inside linebacker. And they drafted Eric Stokes at corner in the first round for a reason. It shows you that they felt strongly about that position and what they last saw in the NFC title game. So him stepping up and playing really well and becoming close to what Jair Alexander currently is a win-win. They hope that's the case this upcoming season. Breakout players, I think A.J. Dillon will have a breakout season. He's going to be the number 2 back. He showed last year he's able to handle any role that you want to throw his way, and I think he's going to prove to be a really good asset on this offense once again. And Kamal Martin, I thought, played well in spurts. First year as a rookie, everything is moving real fast, and you really have to just get your bearings as a rookie. I think the game will slow down for him, and we'll see him start to elevate. He had the athleticism, and it showed out there on film. The road to the Super Bowl for the Packers goes as follows. I believe number 1 is an obvious one. If the quarterback situation straightens out and gets stabilized, then Green Bay will always be in contention. The run defense has to get a little bit better this year. I thought they were solid last season, but there was room for them to get even better. If that happens, based off what they're trying to build up front along that defensive line, they could be special, and they have to become dominant on special teams. I think that's an area where they were lax last year, both in the return game. You hope that changes with Amari Rodgers, and also in the kicking game, i.e. punting. So they have to get better on special teams, become dominant. And if all 3 things happen, I think they can get over that NFC Championship game hunt. They've been there back-to-back seasons and get into the Super Bowl. I have the Packers finishing first in the NFC North. Solid team on both sides of the ball. Very good up front along both sides of the line of scrimmage. Talented playmakers on the perimeter on both sides. So whether it's Rodgers or a rookie, quote-unquote rookie, Jordan Love stepping in, they'll be just fine. But I do feel as though they are the class of the division. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts, and don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe to Football Game Plan Podcast wherever you find or get your podcast from, and be sure to leave us a 5-star rating.
It's E-U-E-U till I see you by this point. You're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it. Let's do it. We gon' make this thing official. You heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit. Man, we about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it. Let's do it. We gon' make this thing official. You heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit. Yeah.